October the 10th, 2023. Guys, very cool weather. We've been enjoying it. Today it's a little warmer, and we're starting to see a little bit of activity in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, what they're watching is here. It's been listed for a couple of days. It's only a 30% chance of going into a tropical storm over the next few days. But they're saying, regardless, expect gale force winds along the northern Gulf and high wind and heavy rains along some of the Gulf states. Now, one of the incentives for me to come in here and do this, guys, it's been not only the hottest summer that I can remember, and I have my weather stations to back that up, but also one of the driest. I think I mentioned that this year, I didn't know how bad it was going to be, but I didn't plant a garden because I was having a lot of problems with my back, remember, and then I ended up having surgery and things like that. But it's kind of a blessing because you put a lot of work into a big garden like we had. You know, you got diesel for your tractor, fertilized seeds, and then it all burns up. And I know it's happened because of all my neighbors. So in that way, it was kind of a blessing. But guys, we are in one of the worst droughts that I remember. It's just solid dust here. I mean, there's no grass. It's dust, and it is in your home. It's kind of like a dust bowl situation. You got dogs running around or people going by, and just dry. And so what I'm hoping for is some of the rain coming out of this system. Now notice there's a front coming up out of Texas in this area. And so this system has not really become part of that front yet, but it is expected to as it moves up. Now I want to show you some of the models, but first let's look at some of the radar images. Now this is infrared. It's showing you where your storms are. You can see here, and this is very close or just a little east of the center of circulation right here. But you've got some moisture coming up out of the Caribbean. But notice these blue clouds here. They're coming out of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina. You've got some here in Florida. A lot of times that may never hit the ground, but we are overcast, and right now it's actually up to 80 degrees outside, which is the warmest day we've had. And sometimes these clouds can blanket heat and not just reflect it, but kind of trap some heat down. But what would be perfect and is for this system to form, not a tropical storm. You're hearing some of my huskies. I'm just going to let them talk here a minute. Twice a day, the 5 puppies get together on the back deck and have this. And now this is Booger. He's inside. They have this howling thing like a pack of wolves twice a day. Usually it's when they're ready to get fed, but they've already eaten. So sometimes one of them will start it, and they'll all join in, even the big dogs. So that's I can't fuss at them. Anyway, what I'm hoping for is to get some of this moisture out of here. And again, we're seeing this system move from the west to the east. And that's going to be part of the steering mechanism for the storm as it gets up into this front, which actually starts about right in here. You can see that section of it. Then that's again the steering mechanisms will kick in. Let's look at one of the models. Now, this storm is going to do what it's going to do within the next 48 hours, but this is a 7-day forecast, but because that one is the one that gives us these cones. And this storm here is 80% chance of development at AL number 92, but looks like it's going to curve into the North Atlantic and not be in play for the U.S. Maybe you guys in the UK, but we'll keep an eye on it in case it does try to move more to the west. Right now, this is what we're dealing with. Disturbance number 2, 30% chance of cyclone formation in 7 days. If we look at the 2-day outlook, which you can click here, but it doesn't show you the cones, it will say 48 hours, okay? But anyway, showers and thunderstorms have increased some but remain disorganized in association with an area of low pressure over the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. So while environmental conditions appear only marginally favorable, surface pressures have been falling. That's where it starts to strengthen near the system, and it has a short window to develop further over the next day or so. However, by Wednesday morning, that's tomorrow, the system is forecast to merge with a developing frontal system over the western Gulf of Mexico. That's the system coming across Texas. An Air Force recon is scheduled to investigate the system later today if necessary. Regardless of tropical cyclone development, the system is forecast to produce gale force winds over portions of the northern Gulf by Wednesday, and potentially heavy rainfall along the Gulf Coast by the latter portion of this week. That's what I'm hoping for, and it probably would be a blessing. Guys, I've seen Louisiana, I know you're dry, and Arkansas get some rain as our area in central Mississippi. We've had one rain that was worth anything, probably less than an inch, though, since June. Very dry. But it was already hot and dry before then, but it just shut down. It's like somebody turned the spigot off. And I've seen some pretty weird scalar rings from the radar coming out of Jackson, Mississippi, here in central Mississippi since that point. And they almost look like, as the storms that were coming out of Louisiana and Arkansas got close to that radar system in Jackson. That's NBC. The moisture would be taken out of the clouds. It may just been coincidence, but I've seen it many times. We don't have to go there now. Let's look at what Fox tracking is saying about where this storm may make impact. Now, this was just updated 38 minutes ago, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Central. Invest 93. The purple model is the one I'm hoping and praying for. That's from the Navy model. It's one of the really good, accurate ones, and they have a vested interest in making sure their weather reports are accurate over water. Why? Because of ships, of course. But it's showing it come up and through southwestern Louisiana, and maybe come up through Baton Rouge, Natchez, Mississippi area, which is what we need bad, guys. I don't know how to say it any other way. It's been rough here, and we need the rain. We're all under no burn bans, because it would be devastating, and we're covered up in trees and things like that. But I've seen some unnecessary limbs drop through the summer on some of the big oaks behind us, and just that tells me how bad it is. So we really need it. Now, the Canadian model, which is the other one that we follow very closely on this channel, is sweeping left of the Navy model, but then crosses it here and comes up into southeastern Louisiana, somewhere possibly in the New Orleans area. See that? That would bring it down around between Gulfport and Hattiesburg as far as the center of it. So maybe even then it will throw up something in central Mississippi. And I'm praying for all of the Gulf Coast states to get some of this moisture, unless you're just flooded out. But I don't think that's the situation right now. Florida through the Panhandle, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 models, 5 if you count the one coming up off of Mobile Bay, that are showing it tracking in your area. And remember, that front that's coming across Texas, guys, is going to be pushing this way. And so when it encounters the storm, which would probably be somewhere in this area, that's going to determine how much of a right turn it starts to make. Again, I'm hoping it comes up here in Louisiana, gets some rain all the way over to Houston, and brings it across the southeast. So keep that in mind, and guys, that's what we're looking for here. I'll update it. Regardless if it doesn't become a full-blown tropical storm, watch for some power outages along the coast, rough winds. You got gale force winds offshore, so it's not a good time to be out in a small craft or even a fishing boat. But you keep your eye on it, and we will. Situation in Israel, guys, is just getting worse by the moment. Now, we've seen events like this in the past, not on the scale, but it would be like 2 or 3 day incursion, or 2 day incursion, or 1 day, and then everything pulls back away from there. But that's not what is happening now. Not only is Israel building up troops, they've got 300,000 now, and they just called in 60,000 more, so 360,000 troops. And this may be for a ground offensive in Gaza. Now, on the other side, they are being supplied some pretty tough-looking tanks and equipment like that. It looks like a lot of Western equipment, as far as like the man pads, the shoulder launch rockets that can take out a tank and possibly a helicopter, whatever it can hit, probably. But we're seeing that in some of the images. By the way, those man pads, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, we're just seeing below our border people coming, uniforms and that type of equipment. So, people have been saying what's been happening overseas may be coming here. Why else do they need that type of equipment? We're watching it. You watch it, guys. It's a heads up. Be safe.